What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. I just wanted to give a review of my Yamaha YXZ. I know there's a few more out there, but I thought, you know what the heck, I'll at least give you guys my input on the experience I've had with this car. It is a 2019. It has 3,550 miles on it. Mostly ridden in Pennsylvania. Did go to Silver Lake Sand Dunes one time, and I did a few Hatfield and McCoy trails, but most of the miles were in Pennsylvania. But the car has been extremely good to me. I did replace the brakes about 2,000 miles and the bushings. I did like a really large service on it. So I did go over a lot of those things and replace what was wore out, whatever. I did replace the springs. I went with FCR coilovers, or FCR dual rate springs, mostly because the 2019 base model came with single rate springs. So I wanted to get a little bit better ride, so I did that. But man, it's been great, really. It's I did put a factory UTV skid plate on it because the factory skid plates are junk. But my factory Bighorn tires that it came with, they lasted about 1,500 miles, and then they started, you know, more and more plugs were needed. They were getting cut and stuff on the trail, so, and they were pretty bald. They were wearing out, so I got the Tusk Terabyte 30-inch tires, and to be honest, man, these tires are really good. For the Pennsylvania riding and stuff that I've done, even in the sand dunes, they did quite well. But this tire has about, I guess, close to 2,000 miles on it, which is crazy. This is a brand new one right there. So you can kind of tell how that looks with the tread compared to what this Terabyte does with 2,000 miles on it. And I'm not a big fan of four-wheel drive. I run two-wheel drive a lot of the time, so the tires are spinning a lot. So, and I always rotate them. I sold the rear wheels because they're a different offset than the front, and then I bought 3 front wheels so I can rotate my tires evenly, and then I had a full spare just in case. But yeah, it's done really well. These are 30 by 10s on the factory 14-inch wheel. I did do the Trinity Stage 5 exhaust with the Alba Silent But Deadly header, and I did the Alba tune, the GYTR secondary filter. I'm trying to think what else I did performance wise. I think that's it. The tune, the exhaust, the air filter, oh, the airbox spacer, which I don't know if it really does anything or not. It's hard to see it, but it's right there. But it's about 1 inch thick. It separates the lid to the secondary. They claim it gives it more air because the factory was too close to the side cover here, and it kind of suffocates itself. So you give that extra inch right there, and apparently it sucks more air. So I did that with the tune and everything all at once, and man, it really wakes it up. It really does. It adds like 30 horsepower to do all the stuff that I did, and it's very noticeable, very. For non-turboed, it did really well. Even out in Silver Lake Sand Dunes in Michigan, it did quite well. I mean, it ain't no 200 horsepower cars, but shoot, it kept up just fine. It ran good, but never had any differential issues, never had driveline, any kind of issues at all. It ran great. I had one bolt come loose on the flywheel. I had to get in there. I pulled all them out and red Loctited them and put them back in. But that's about it. It just ran great. But yeah, it's a solid car. I was very pleased with it, and The radiator back here is all new for 2019 and newer. They did a lot of changes, and if anybody really wants a YXZ, definitely a 2019 or higher, unless it's like really cheap, because the gearing is different, the wheels, lugs, the brakes, has stainless steel brake lines. I think the rear diff is different. The engine is turbo ready, where the older models are not. So a lot of changes on the 19 and up, but I did do a new cage. I got the Radius LSK DIY or DIY weld it yourself cage, and very pleased with that. The factory cages are about 40 to 50 thousandths thick. I forget what it was now, and that's not very strong. So this one is DOM 95 thousandths, I believe it is. So it's a lot stronger than factory, and I'm quite pleased. I actually did the stainless steel spray paint, and I put probably 4 coats on it. And man, other than like small touch-ups right here, I guess this is the B pillar, from like scraping trees or something, man, it's done really well. Like, I'm very, very happy with it. I had some chips right here as well from following people too close. So, you know, what's nice with spray paint is you just, you know, lay some paper down or something on your dash and just respray a little bit, and it blends in very nice. I think they have silver and then this like, I guess it's like a flat black or a semi-gloss, but I will definitely do steel it paint on my next cage or whatever I may need it on. It's a very strong paint. It's a great alternative than powder coat, because my gosh, powder coat was like $300, and I spent, I think it was 80 bucks on spray paint, and you can touch it up anytime. And yeah, and when you scratch powder coat, you can't fix it. I mean, it's there. So unless you, I guess, sandblast it and re-powder coat it again, but that's crazy. So yeah, this cage, you can keep it looking like new for another, I don't know, I forget how many cans it really took, but yeah, I think it was about $20 a can. I think that's what I paid for that spray paint, but I think it was well worth it. So yeah, you know, you can keep it looking like new forever. You just touch up wherever you scratch it. But I went with the X Bright 30-inch light bar back here also. Forgot about that. Amazon purchase, but it works very well. The tail light on the Yamaha is just that little teeny light. Doesn't really work that great if you're riding in dust. So I wanted to get something that was a little brighter, because a lot of the trails that we used to ride on were long, like railroad beds and dusty and stuff. So you want to make sure people know when you're going to stop. So, but yeah, it's done me very well. I'll be sad to see this car go, that's for sure. I'll miss this car if I do sell it. I keep contemplating on doing that. I'm not really sure yet, but mostly because I need something with low gear. You can only go, with this being the manual, I don't know how the SS's are. I have a few buddies that have them. The sport shift, so it's basically like right here where your reverse lever is, but you have big paddles and there's no clutch. It's the same transmission and everything, just a little electronic shifter down there, and you just paddle shift it up and down whenever you want to. But it also, it reacts just like this kind of does. When you get down to a certain speed, like 5 miles an hour, it's gonna disengage and engage and disengage. So it's really jerky going that slow with the SS, where the manual, you get down that slow, it will just die. It'll just fall on its face. It can't go that slow. So 8 miles an hour is pretty much as slow as you can go comfortably with 30-inch Tusk Terabytes, at least. I'm sure a heavier tire, or like if you did a 32-inch or something, that'll be completely different. But these 30s were almost the same size as the factory 29 Bighorns that came on it. So the gearing was real similar. The tire weight is real close as well. These Terabytes are real light, so that worked out well. But Yeah, no plugs on the tires or anything, by the way. They did great. But but yeah, that was the biggest issue with the gearing, not being able to go slow enough, because there are certain times that you got to go slow, and I found myself letting the people in front of me go out, and then I would drop the clutch and get going, and hit stuff at 8, 10, 12 mile an hour, and it's a rough ride sometimes. It's not enjoyable in certain situations, or safe. Sometimes it's not good to hit something that fast, but you have to, or else you're not going to make it, or you're just going to ride the clutch really bad. And I mean, you can, I've done it a few times, like to get up over something, like you just got to let the clutch ride. But I hate doing that because clutches are $200, and it's a pretty big job to pull the skid plate and get into the transmission and change the discs out. I never needed to replace it yet. It's still the factory clutch, but it seems fine. It's still working great. But I've tried really hard to stay off the clutch. Just use it to shift, and don't feather it at all. Don't play with it no more than you have to. Just it does pretty well across the board for everything. It's a very reliable car. It's never left me down. Well, one time it messed up, but it was my fault. I was cleaning it, I was detailing it, I was moving it around, and I started and stopped it probably 4 times, and it was only for like a minute each time. Not even a minute, like just to move it here or there, whatever. And ended up running on like 2 cylinders, and it would hardly even start. And then it ended up not even starting at all. And it freaked me out. I thought I got water somewhere I shouldn't have, or something. Like I thought I fried something. And checked everything, pulled every plug, cleaned every plug, pulled the ECU, blew air through the prongs. I was panicking. And then still wouldn't run. So then I called a dealership, and I was talking to them about it. And they said that, actually I called the dealer where I bought it from. Thank you, Hillview in Pennsylvania. They know these YXZs inside and out. And they said that they dealt with this before, and they know exactly what happened. Pull your spark plugs. Like, okay. I did not think it was going to be a spark plug. Turns out I fouled my plugs, starting it and stopping it that many times just for short little bursts. I fouled 2 of 3 spark plugs. So that was my issue, and luckily I had spares, so I just threw them in and it fired right up. It was fine. So yeah, if you, I don't know if this goes for all side-by-sides or just the Yamaha, but they claim that it dumps fuel kind of like a choke every time you start it, and it takes a few minutes for that to burn off. And so if you start it and stop it a few times there, it just adds up with fuel, and it doesn't have time to burn off, and you will foul a plug. So lesson learned. But yeah, other than that, it's done me really well. Never broke an axle. So it's a fun car. I've had a lot of good times with this car. It'll run with the Albatoon, the 2019, like I said, I don't know about the older models with the different gearing, but with the 2019 30-inch tires with the Albatoon, I've ran 86, 87 mile an hour, and it wasn't redlined, but I was terrified, so I stopped. But back home, we had some really long stone roads, and you could see way out in the distance, and every turn was very gradual. It was a really nice turn. So the only thing I was really worried about was like deer or mechanical failure. So you could really open it up there sometimes. And I did a few times trying it out, just seeing how fast it was, and it's very scary at that speed, because like your off-road suspension and your tires are DOT rated, so I guess they're rated for speed, but just the off-road suspension, it's not very stiff, and it's just it doesn't feel good after like 70 mile an hour. So I think factory, they're tuned at like 72 mile an hour. I think they won't go above that. And then the Albatoon that I have, it allows it to go higher. It basically eliminates, or it raises the rev limiter. I don't remember what factory is anymore, but I think mine goes to almost 11,000. I'll have to look. I don't know. Yeah. I think it goes up to like 10.8 or 11 now. I think they raised it up a little, but I think that's how you can get the extra speed. I don't really know, but so yeah, that was just my 2 cents on the YXZ. Very happy with it. So see you on the next one.